Morning Dish.
He's the hardest working man in show business. His band's music takes you into the midnight hours. And when you wake up, his voice is back on your radio alarm clock. How on earth did this happen?
Well, Jeff saw me taking out the trash at the radio station.
And he won another award.
But this one is better.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am.
It's the Morning Dish with the 2019 Radio Personality of the Year winner, Stephen Phillips.
You paying attention to this, Packy?
And Murphy's own Sherry Raines.
Yeah, you must have given horseback passes to the right guy, Stephen.
Well, giddy up.
And Packy Smith's Shetland pony is right alongside.
You guys know these demo tapes don't just edit themselves together, right?
Well, all right.
3 cheers for Stephen Phillips.
Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All righty, folks, we're back with you. We got an interesting guy on with us this morning from Lucky Giraffe, Corey Green. Good morning. How are you, brother?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you today?
We're doing good. We've been wanting to talk to you. Packy's got an uncle that actually does some of this kind of stuff, but what does he do, Packy? He
owns a grip company, and he's usually credited as like Best Boy Grip or Key Grip or something like that.
Yeah, grip company. So I guess you kind of deal with them some, but you build sets for movies. This must be amazingly fun because you don't have to warranty your work, right?
Yeah, it is actually a really fun thing dealing with for production designers' imaginations and anything. The sky's the limit. It's pretty awesome.
Well, now, how long does this stuff actually have to last? I mean, of course, now I've got Steve over here, Steve number 2. He's an actor.
Hey there, how you doing, Corey?
Oh, yeah? I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Hey, doing great. Yeah, we were talking before we called into you earlier today. We're talking about set design and just how interesting it'd be that you'll go out and just the amount of work and imagination you put into a set that you may only use for, let's say, 30 seconds on a scene, but all the detail just to get it to look just right for that flash of a moment. That's got to tell us about that.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, actually. So in Austin, Texas, we do a lot of commercial work. We do a few films and stuff that last a little longer, but commercials, they have that 30-second spot, maybe up to a minute-and-a-half spot. And so you're right, we put a lot of work and a lot of detail into a thing, and they'll use it for 6 hours, and I take it right back down. It's really funny because my carpentry skills, they're pretty good. I can put things together. I often have friends, though, ask me, hey, can you fix this in my house? And I'm like, do you want it to last for 30 seconds? And yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Hey, I'm with you on that.
So what you're saying is there's a job opportunity out there for the guys that can't build anything that can last. They can find a job in the movies.
Yeah, I guess that works. It's job security.
Well, now, do you build this stuff on location, or do they actually come to your place in Texas to do this?
Well, we're very fortunate. We have a 3,000 square foot shop, and so we build a lot of things as much as we can in our shop, and so that way on the day of we can just drive it over in our truck and put it together as fast as possible. Then the only limit is paint drying, which is pretty cool.
Now I was looking at
watching paint dry. That is cool, man. We do that.
Yeah, right. Counting ceiling tiles. Hey, Corey, I was on your website looking at different things you designed for movies and commercials, etc. Some of the stuff looked kind of sci-fi. I noticed there was like a sci-fi type of movie you did a set for. It looked like, I don't know, maybe a laboratory or something. What's the more complex kind of thing you've designed as far as creativity is concerned?
Actually, I'm really glad you mentioned the sci-fi thing, because we did do this underground lab for a pilot teaser one time. A pilot teaser is what someone films different scenes from a script they've written, and they put it together and they try to sell it to a studio or something. But yeah, we did this underground lab, and it's so much fun because basically for sci-fi, you can do whatever you want, and because you say it's the future, and that's the way it looks in the future, right? So what we do is we go to like a electronics recycling place, and we pick up all these random wires and old screens and things like that, and we tear them apart, and we put them back together in a way that's like, of course, that's what they do in the future. So that takes a lot of creativity and interesting things to do, and it's a lot of fun to put that kind of stuff together.
But I'm looking like this. You did a Travelocity commercial, and you build a set for that, which is, it looks like, an upscale, super high-end office that you've done with all your walls, do you have to assemble them, or do you have the walls already assembled with all the raised panels and that kind of stuff?
So we do put like the trim and what's called wainscoting on it, in the fancy houses where you have those rectangles on the walls and stuff. The Travelocity set was a really cool one to do because that kind of like mahogany wood looking office is so iconic. And so to have a chance to recreate that and, have it be seen all around with that Travelocity gnome that's so well known was a real treat. And I'm actually glad you mentioned how we do the walls, because one of the focuses we have at Lucky Giraffe is sustainability and recycling.
Right.
And so we'll build a wall in a 4-foot by 10-foot section, and then we hang on to them. And that way we can be used over and over again for different things.
Right.
Before we started doing this 3 years ago in Austin, it was very common to have like a contract service kind of thing, build all the sets, and at the end of a shoot, they'd have a big dumpster come in and just throw everything away.
Right.
And so for the past 3 years, we've been able to reduce waste a lot, and I'm pretty proud of that.
When I was looking at this set you've got on the Violence of the Sun, which was a short film you done, and looked to me like somebody going to get electrocuted. I don't know. I mean, just all the wires y'all got wrong. I mean, actually, look, we play music. This actually looks like, when we play music, it looks like our sound board, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, we probably grabbed, I think we grabbed that from that electronic recycling place. Now, when it comes to actually putting power to things, that's that grip and electric department you mentioned earlier, right? So, and on that particular set with all the wires everywhere, I just kind of trusted that they made the right ones live, And then you have actor, like you mentioned earlier yourself, that way you don't come in and touch the wrong thing, and that could be disaster.
Well, y'all got some cool stuff. So how did you get started in this business? I mean, this seems like something to me that I would never even dream of doing. Of course, I guess Texas, I know Georgia, they're doing a lot of movie shoots, but in Texas, I guess they're doing a lot of it. So how did you actually get started in this?
Well, when I was a kid, I was a dreamer, and I watched movies, and I loved them, and I wanted to make them. And so when I was around 20 years old, I moved to Los Angeles to try and make it in the big city and see how it worked. And I was very fortunate. I got in with some nice people, and they kind of showed me different departments. Now, I didn't have construction particularly in mind, but after learning a lot about different things, I realized that my math-structured mind, with very logic and set way of thinking, actually lent itself towards being able to, cut a piece of wood to the right length or put some paint on a wall or things like that. And so after about 7 years in L.A., I moved back to Austin to be closer to family, because I'm from Houston, Texas originally.
Right.
And when I got here, it turns out there was a need in the market for people building sets, and so I just kind of fit right in there, and it's worked out pretty well.
So now, can you actually read a measuring tape, or you're like me, you go like, okay, it's 29 inches and the big mark in the middle and two little bitty marks?
Hey, that's perfect. That's how you do it. Actually, along the lines of accuracy, when you're talking about that, in film, we have quite a margin of error. I can mess up by about a 16th to an 18th to an eighth of an inch. Now, if you went to a cabinet shop and you told them you're going to have an eighth of an inch error, they'd tell you get right out. But then again, that's why I don't do this stuff in houses,
Right. I'm with you.
Hey, so Corey, is it more often the case that the producers or directors, they come to you with an idea for a set, and it's an exacting idea with storyboard drawings, et cetera, with the details of how they want it? Or do you often find yourself in a situation where they come to you and say, hey, we just need a shop that has a bunch of, electronic equipment, and it needs to look kind of sci-fi, and then you use your own imagination to come to them and present your ideas to them? Which way is it more often?
Well, the beauty of film is that it's a collaborative process. So you do have that range, but more often than not, people come to us and they say, hey, this is my idea, and then they allow our instincts and our creativity to contribute to that. And the really cool thing is, after you've worked with someone for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on if it's a small commercial or a film, then you really get to know them. You really get to talk about how your ideas come together. And whenever you stand back and you look at that set when you're done, it's not just one person's idea. It's not just one person's build or job or whatever. You created that as a team.
Right.
And that's a really great feeling to be able to finish that project together. And normally, especially on longer projects, if it's a 2-month movie shoot or something, like at the end of that, you feel like a family.
Right.
And you're all supporting each other the whole time. So it's really cool.
Well, now, folks out there listening, if you go to luckygiraffe.com, you can see all the stuff we're talking about, just like on the design and fabrication. You've actually got one set here. Looks like it's several rooms put together, actually a whole house. I mean, that had to be a pretty good undertaking, especially to get the walls to stand up right in the middle of the dang floor.
Yeah, it's really cool. We use what's called jacks to support those walls standing up. And that one you're talking about was a movie that we worked on. And it was particularly interesting because we shot at a house somewhere over in East Texas in a town called Navasota.
Right.
And then we came back to our studio in Austin, and had to recreate the inside. And what that does is it allows you to, like, if you want to get a certain shot from far away, but your hallway in the house is only 4 feet wide,
Right.
you can take a wall down and your camera can get right back there. And so we actually spent, that was a film that we spent a good amount of time working on. I was pretty proud with the process. You probably see the fake wood floors and the distressed wallpaper and things like that. And yeah, we had a really cool crew helping work on that one.
Oh, that looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of fun. So, okay, I want to know Lucky Giraffe. I mean,
Yeah, what makes that giraffe lucky? Is what I was wondering the same thing.
Well, so that actually comes from my business partner, Wes Falk, and I. When we started this company, we were looking around for a name, and we're both two tall guys that are of Irish descent. And so we thought a shamrock, because we're Irish, and then giraffes are tall. And we put the thing together. I mean, it's a pretty unique name, and actually it's a really awesome thing. I didn't have any marketing training at the time.
Right.
But most of the time when I say I work with Lucky Giraffe, people remember it.
right. So how tall are y'all?
Well, I'm 6'3",
Right.
but he is 6'8".
Good Lord.
Wow.
6'8".
I know.
Is he tall and skinny?
So,
Is he?
yeah. Well, we're
That's a
getting
tall
older, so the
leprechaun.
skinny's going away.
Yeah. Well, I know how that is. I guarantee it.
But yeah, it's cool. We have ladders, but we try not to use them because we're the tall guys. We got to reach for everything ourselves.
That's the thing about being tall. You always have to reach up and get stuff for short people like me. Hey, can you reach up there and get that? And then us short folks, we have to bend over to get whatever it is. Hey, I dropped this. Pick that up.
But then we have the benefit. We're also the ones hanging the ceiling fans in the room, so I don't hang it low enough to hit my head on, which is something I do quite often in real life.
Yeah. So how busy are y'all? Stay fairly busy with this? I mean, is this a full-time thing or is this, sporadic?
Yeah, we do stay busy, actually. We're really lucky. Austin, the film industry in Austin has been blowing up, actually, over the past probably 5 to 10 years. And so we hardly ever get a break. And one of the cool things we've been able to do, because we know business is coming, is we really focus on our employee health and wellness. And so a lot of projects will do 10 to 12-hour days to build things. And you'll do that for, who knows how many days in a row. And every 6 days or so, you get a day off.
Right.
But what we've managed to do is we're trying to set up a Monday through Friday schedule where people work 8 hours a day. And I'm actually really proud of this thing that we've done because I have employees that they go home at night, and the next morning I say, how was your night? And what it used to be was, oh, I know what your night was because I was there with you. So now it's like, hey, you have a life. You can go do things.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that works out good.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Corey, being involved in the film industry, I've done some independent films and a lot of commercials, this type of work, and it can't be overemphasized just the credit that you all deserve,
right?
Behind that camera with the set building, all the grip work, all that type of work that's done. If people saw that, they wouldn't give actors half the credit they get. Honestly. Because it truly the work in the movie is everything that's being done behind the camera. What you do, I mean, huge kudos to you. I mean, the acting part is so minor in comparison to what it takes to actually make a movie.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and I appreciate that acknowledgement. But I'm going to have to go right back at you on that one. You're downplaying the acting thing. I always think whenever I'm watching a movie and the actor's doing a really open, vulnerable, emotional scene, and they're alone in a room or with their loved one or whatever in the film, and it's such a sweet moment. And then, of course, working on films, I know that there's 20 people staring at that person trying to cry. So, yeah, my job is great, and I appreciate your acknowledgement of what we do because it is a lot of fun to put that stuff together with our team. But, man, it wouldn't be anything without the actor who was able to do those things in front of the whole crew.
Well,
I really enjoyed it. It's such a... Go ahead.
I've been around movies some. I have, and I seem to, now that when I watch a movie, instead of watching the actors, I look at the set and I look at the people behind and see where the mistakes are at. Do you do that?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I guess it's the thing about working in it, right? It's like I see the bump in the wall and I think, man, someone didn't do that right.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I mean, that's another thing about the film, right? Hopefully, if you're doing it correctly, then people are absorbed in the story and aren't nitpicking the thing behind. But I'm absolutely guilty of that.
Yeah, I do that too. Do you do that, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, Corey, thanks for the compliment earlier. But yeah, absolutely. When you watch these movies and when you've been there on set,
right,
you know the things to look for that you might see in error on the film.
Right.
Just yesterday, I was working with Bill Ron, director that did Oro Arrowhead, and we were looking over some footage that will be in a movie that's coming out soon. And there's the boom mic. And I didn't even see it. He goes, "You see that? You see that right there?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh man!" And you start noticing these things. Of course, that will be ultimately edited out, but nevertheless, you start to pick up on that. And now, when I go to see a theater and watching movies, I start looking for mistakes. Or I look, I mean, that's just what happens.
Or you see the same car in all the different sets. It's like, they got a different town or a different thing. You got the same cars. And I'm like, that's the same car,
That's right.
But anyway.
The thing that I'm guilty of is if we're moving a set around, between scenes, you're moving the set dressing and the props around to make stuff, make it look different or whatever. And then, you do the first couple takes and all of a sudden I'll look and I'll be like, oh no, I left that book in there. And so when you put the final movie together, if they got 2 takes with a book and 2 takes without a book, then somehow magically in the story, there's a book that's sitting there for 10 seconds, but it's gone in the next cut. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. That was me.
That was me. Man, we got to get to the break. Tell these folks how they can follow you, man. I love this and that you're doing. And maybe we'll be out in Texas sometime with Steve doing a movie and get to be on one of your sets or something.
Yeah, I want to get out there.
That'd be amazing.
I want to get out there. I was just telling. I'm sorry. I'm talking over you. Go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say, if people do want to see what we're doing on Instagram, we like to keep that up to date at Lucky Giraffe LLC. So you can see all the pictures and stuff that are in real time as we're building things. And as you mentioned, our website earlier, www.luckygiraffe.co, has a lot of our stuff on it too. So if anyone wants to check out what we do over here in Austin, they can.
Man, we appreciate you. We have got to get anything else, Steve?
No, thank you, Corey. We appreciate all you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day.
There you go.
See ya.
Thank you for spending a little time with us. And remember, you can tune in every morning at WJULradio.com at 8 a.m. Eastern. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, The Morning Dish.